One of the most common questions on almost everybody's mind these days is when is a good time to buy real estate? Especially now, given this crazy real estate market conditions. Well, to answer simply to that question, it really depends. Everyone's financial, professional, and personal obligation are different. But one thing that has become absolutely clear during the last couple of years in the pandemic is that having a good financial plan is no longer an option. And the plan has to have contingencies in place for the very worst case scenarios. The very first thing we start with every client, especially those that are Canadian citizens or permanent residents, when we sit down with them in terms of their planning, we advise them to first buy their primary residence. The reason for this is very simple. You always need a place to live. If you don't own one, you're gonna have to rent one, and there's no way around that. With inflation costs through the roof, as a result of government fiscal and monetary policies, we are starting to see market rents increase at rates which we have never seen before. Now, sure, one might argue that government has in place rent increases which does allow the landlord to only increase very incrementally every year. Fair enough. But what happens when that landlord sells that property that you're renting and the buyer decides to move in? Now, all of a sudden, you have to go and you have to rent a different property, and you're gonna have to pay the new rental market, which is a much, much higher cost. Now, the second main reason we advise most of our clients to start with the purchase of their primary residence before going out and buying an investment property is that there is no capital gains tax on appreciation on your primary residence. Well, I should say at least not yet. I'm sure the government is working on that to collect more taxes. For now, this will allow us and allow the first-time buyer to build a nest for themselves and their family and build some equity as their property appreciates in value. One of the main mistakes that we are seeing a lot of people make consistently is they look for the perfect house at the perfect price, which does not exist. And without flexibility, they choose to sit on the sidelines to save more money, to find a better opportunity, whatever the case might be. And having helped hundreds and hundreds of hardworking families over the years with countless success stories, I could wholeheartedly tell you this strategy almost never works. Most of the time, these people, while waiting for the perfect opportunity to arise, get priced right out of the market. On the other hand, we have most of our successful clients that have always been flexible, courageous, and realist. They would realize that without taking risks, there is no reward. And they would plan for the worst case scenarios in their planning sessions. They would not allow noise and small details get in the way of the decision making. Many of them started from very humble beginnings just to get their foot through the door. And just in a few short years, through sacrifice, hard work, and some luck on their side, they have done extremely well for themselves. Interesting enough, last week I had someone make a comment in one of our posts telling me to stop advertising these sold properties. You guys are selling all these multi-million-dollar properties to foreigners. They're messing up the housing market for the rest of us. Although I felt empathy towards the person that made that comment, and I also have my own personal concerns regarding the increase of the prices, I wanted to assure you that based on what we're seeing in the current marketplace, people buying most of these properties that we're involved with, they're definitely not foreigners. And I want to share with you a few stories of our past clients that came from very humble beginnings that were able to buy multi-million-dollar properties, and give you an example so you can see for yourself. One of those clients is a good friend of ours. This gentleman started from a condo a few years ago. At the time, that's all he could afford. The condo needed a lot of work. He got his foot through the door buying that condo. For the next couple of years while he was living there, he fixed up the condo. He did a bunch of renovations. We managed to sell that condo at a record price. We were able to get him some equity, which he basically ended up putting towards the next house that we ended up buying. It was a teardown house. It required basically rebuilding. At that time, we managed to get him construction mortgage, and basically with the cost of about 1.5 million, he ended up building a 7,000 square foot house in Coquitlam with couple rental incomes with the suites underneath them. So now what ended up costing him 1.5 million before, he has a house that is worth over $3 million now. Now, with his business that is improving, he's able to pull money out of his house, and the next project is going to be for us to help him find a commercial property to expand his business. So that's one of the examples. Another story is one of our other clients that we just helped acquire his dream home just about a month ago. That home he just acquired cost almost $3 million. Again, most people would say, wow, $3 million for a house. He must have been a foreigner buying this property. Again, this is another client of ours who, like the rest of us, started from very, very humble beginnings. A few short years ago, we got him into a very small house in Poco, which needed a lot of work. At that time, that's all he could afford. He was realistic, and he spent the next couple of years fixing that place up while his family was living there. 2 years later, we fast forward, we sold that property and we gave him enough equity to move to a house that he wanted to be in Richmond. With the rising market on his side, and by him getting more efficient and doing the renovation work and some luck on his side, he ended up selling the property a few months ago at a shattering price that allowed him to buy his dream home, which we just got for him last week. We have hundreds of stories like this with our past clients. We wanted to share those couple of stories with you guys, not to impress you, but to impress upon you that with the right teamwork, with the right attitude and planning, anything is possible, even if you're coming from very extreme conditions. It always requires us to take action through a leap of faith. Without that, without action, nothing in life happens. Your trusted realtor advisor, I'm Ruz Zara from Zara & Associate Marketing Group. If you're looking for a team to help you make your dreams a reality, even if you're not in the best ideal situation, get in touch with me on my team for a complimentary planning session. Also, we are never too busy for your referrals. To book a consultation session with myself, give me a call at the direct number below. God bless.